Now let's find the mean of this group data. So we made our frequency distribution. Next we're going to find the products of the midpoint of the interval. So find the sum of the products. Find the frequency for each interval for all intervals. Find the sum of the frequencies. Then divide the sum of the products by the sum of the frequencies. So back to our last example. We have our class frequency. Now we're going to find the midpoint of each class interval. So we have 75, 79, 76, 78. So the midpoint of our 5 data set interval would be the middle value, so the 77. We will do that for each interval. Next, we find the product sum, and the frequency sum. Add them all together, get our 888, divide by the number in your frequency, so our 10, to get the mean of the group data is 88. 7.3, now we're going to move on to range and standard deviation. Another group of statistical measures are measures of variation or dispersion. The variation or dispersion of a set of data may also be referred to as the spread. Our measures of central tendency are those statistical measurements such as our mean, median, mode that indicate how data groups how they compare towards the center of your data. Your variation or dispersion, the range, which is the range of the standard deviation, indicates how the data is dispersed or how it's spread, meaning we're really looking at our min and our max, so how far away things are maybe from a mean. The range is the difference between the highest and lowest values in the data, which is the same as spread. Deviation from the mean is the distance between a value in your data set and the mean. Standard variation is a measurement that shows how data is spread over your mean, so above or below your mean. Variance is the average of the spread of the squared deviations of data from the mean. Square root is the factor, what number times itself gives you that number. Normal distribution is the bell-shaped curve. So our deviation, the deviation from the mean of a data value is the difference between the value and the mean. A clearer picture is given by examining how much each data point differs or deviates from the mean. So we have to find the mean of the set of data and find the amount that each data value deviates or is different from the mean. So if we think back to, I gave you a short example in the first video about differences in heights. So, females' average height may be 5'6", with a standard deviation of 3.2 inches. That means that 68% of females are going to be that 5.5 feet, 5 feet 6 inches, plus the 3.2 inches or minus the 3.2 inches. That's your deviation. That would be one deviation from the mean. When the value is smaller than the mean, the difference is represented by a negative number. So negative means it's below the mean. Positive means it's above the mean. So here are our grades again. We're going to find the highest and lowest values and then find the difference between the two. So our highest value is a 99. Lowest value is a 60. We find the range or the spread, which means we find the difference of 39. A statistical measure called the standard deviation uses the square of each deviation from the mean. The square of a negative value is always positive, and the square deviations are averaged, or the mean. The result is called the variance. So let's find the standard deviation of a set of data. First we need to find the mean, then find the deviation of each value from that mean, square each deviation, and sum those squared deviations. Then divide the sum of those squared deviations, so step 4, by one less than the number of values in the data set. This value is called our variance. Find the standard deviation by taking the square root of your variance. So Let's find the standard deviation for the following data set. We're going to start small. So we have our value between the 18, 22, 29, and 27. We'd want to find the middle data point, or our mean. So we want to add them all together, divide by 4. We get a mean of 24. Find the difference. So our value minus the mean gives us a negative 6, which means that we are below our mean. Square it to get our 36. That's the squares of the deviation. We'll then do the same thing for 22, 29, and 27. Next, we want to sum the squares of our deviation to get 74. Our variance is the sum of squared deviations divided by your number minus 1. Our number of values were 4, so our n minus 1 is actually 3. The sum of our squared deviations is 74. So our variance would be the 74 divided by 4 minus 1, or 74 divided by 3. Our standard deviation is the square root of the variance. So we will keep this value in your calculator and do square root. Rounded would be 4.97. So what this means is one standard deviation away from the mean would be the 24 plus 4.97 and 24 minus 4.97.